Sunday, July 31st, 2004. Here in New York City, the terror alert level has been raised yet again, this time on chillingly specific information collected from a captured al-Qaeda webmaster. With terror chatter around the globe increasing as before 9/11 and the Republican convention just weeks away, the pressure on America's cops, including super elite police SWAT teams, is at its maximum. This is now the front line in the war on terror. Hello, I'm Jackie Schechner, and this is Kuma War. Today, we spotlight police special weapons and tactics units, SWAT teams, our city's last line of defense against terror. In conjunction with Maxim magazine, this week's mission takes you inside the World SWAT Challenge at the Blackwater USA Training Center in North Carolina. Here, teams from top police departments around the world compete in a series of challenges designed to find out who is the best of the very best. Joining us today is Dr. Jack O'Connor, Vice President of On-Target Communications and creator of the World SWAT Challenge.
Hello, Jackie. It's a pleasure to be here.
And also with us is Dante Anderson, Kuma's Head of Product Development. He's going to explain how we modeled the two-day World SWAT Challenge into your latest Kuma mission.
Hi, Jax.
Let's begin. May 21st, 2004. 12 top-ranked SWAT teams converge on the 6,000-acre world-class training facility at Blackwater, USA in North Carolina. Blackwater will serve as the backdrop for an intense two-day competition in 8 events, the SWAT Challenge. We've of course seen SWAT in TV and the movies for years, but this is a rare look into real SWAT teams and their training and operations in the real world. They'll run through a variety of live-fire exercises designed to highlight key skill areas, a two-gun challenge, a warrant service course, a sniper competition, a high-angle weapons course, an urban stress course, a masked entry challenge, a range run, and a water hostage rescue. Each event is scored by time and hits, and at the end of 2 grueling days, there can only be one top winner. Joining us now is Dr. Jack O'Connor, Vice President of On-Target Communications and creator of the World SWAT Challenge. He is an exercise physiologist with more than 20 years' experience with police, fire, and military organizations, including the Secret Service, the U.S. Marshal Service, U.S. Customs, and the Navy SEALs. He has specific expertise in building and training SWAT teams. Dr. O'Connor also served 22 years in the U.S. Army and is a decorated combat veteran. Dr. O'Connor, welcome. The World SWAT Challenge tested the best of the best in special weapons and tactics teams. What makes a SWAT officer different from other law enforcement officers?
Well, it's a basic training. Remember, a SWAT officer is already a sworn law enforcement officer. They've gone through the academy, they're out on the street. Then they apply to join the SWAT team. There's a selection process in each jurisdiction. Then they go through additional training on the different weapons that the SWAT team has, the different tactics, and the different missions that they might be called upon within that jurisdiction to perform.
The SWAT Challenge featured 8 events. How did you design these events, and what skills were you most interested in highlighting?
Well, what we tried to do is we wanted to really highlight the fitness, and in particular the shooting skills. And the way that we did this is we made side-by-side for the first time teams going down range, firing live rounds right next to each other. And that put an additional stressor on the teams, unlike anything you could do at training when it's just your team going down by itself.
In a time of war and in the aftermath of the largest terrorist attack on American soil ever, does the line blur between the role of the military and the role of law enforcement officers here at home?
I don't think that it does. What's in common is that sometimes in a terrorist environment where local law enforcement has to respond, they have to use some of the tactics that military may use in an urban environment. But for the most part, they're two different missions. In particular, you need to remember that in law enforcement doesn't shoot first. They usually react to a crime, to a criminal element. In the military, once they get an objective and are given a mission to accomplish that objective, then they use all their firepower and maneuver and training and skills to accomplish that mission. Basically, in law enforcement, you have time on your side, something that the military doesn't have.
As an Army Ranger and a Vietnam vet, you are very familiar with military training and combat. What is the difference in training between a SWAT officer and a soldier?
Well, it's significant. Now, let's talk about the military first. In the military, whenever you're not out fighting a war, your main duty is to train, to hone your skills on the different missions that you might be assigned. Okay? In law enforcement, most of the time after you get out of the academy, you're out there performing your mission. You're enforcing the laws, being a deterrent to crime, you're out working, and you have interludes where you go back and you retrain, you upgrade your training. But the time that you have to train in law enforcement is nowhere near the time that you have to train in the military, because they're out doing their job every day.
Dr. O'Connor, thank you. Now let's turn to Dante Anderson, Kuma's head of product development, to talk about how we turn the SWAT challenge into a Kuma mission.
Hi, Jax.
Hi, Dante. This mission is going to look a little different than previous Kuma missions. What can we expect?
Well, Jax, obviously it's much different. Normally Kuma focuses on the war on terror, primarily in Iraq, Afghanistan, and other foreign nations with our regular armed forces. This is an obstacle course, effectively, for domestic SWAT officers. So it's much different. We have a timer running on the screen. You operate alone. You're shooting at targets, and it's basically a test of accuracy and speed.
There are some interesting differences between the actual SWAT challenge and our simulation, which adds to the mission experience. Can you explain what we've done here?
Yeah, we've Kumified the actual SWAT challenge to a certain extent. Because it's a video game, we have the liberty of putting in real enemies, which we did in certain of the events, unlike in a SWAT challenge as it goes in the real world where they're firing live rounds. They obviously have to use dummies and targets. The first event, you're shooting with a pistol, plates, exactly like they do it in the competition. In the second event, however, it's still a pistol accuracy competition. The next event is similar to the event in the SWAT challenge, where you use a carbine, an M16 or an M4, and a sniper rifle. It's a combined mini event. Following that, it's a hand grenade tossing competition, which they actually do, and that moves on into basic mout, and in this case, you're clearing a room. There are innocents in there, bad guys, and a downed officer. And that is borrowing heavily from the actual competition, and then you run to the finish line.
Thank you, Dante. Among the SWAT officers who compete, as well as those who don't, physical condition, expert marksmanship, and professionalism combine to forge an integral link in America's homeland security. In the actual competition, all 12 teams demonstrated intense physical, mental, and tactical skills, but only one could be the best. First place went to the San Antonio Police Department SWAT team, followed by Dallas, and then Orange County, Florida. Thank you very much to Dr. Jack O'Connor and to our friends at Maxim Magazine. For Kuma Reality Games, I'm Jackie Shepherd.